Oh, it's Jinder's Gear Reviews.
One more run. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another gear review here at youtube.com/Jinder Songs, or wherever you are watching this, on Instagram or anywhere else. My name is Jinder. I'm a singer, guitarist, touring artist, songwriter, recording person, all of that kind of stuff, and I'm just here doing a kind of occasional series of gear reviews, talking about the equipment that I use, and the stuff that over the last 22 years of being full-time as a musical working kind of strummer, singer, general musical dog's body, the stuff that's worked for me and the stuff that I've come to love the best. So this is a review of this wonderful guitar. Look at it, just look at it in its cherry sunburst glory. This is a 1967 Gibson J45 Dreadnought guitar. Now this belongs to my friend Alvin Reed, and Alvin, this used to be mine. I owned it for several years, and before me it was owned by the great Mick Terry, a wonderful singer-songwriter who quite a few of you will know of anyway. And I swapped my old Gibson Advanced Jumbo, a 2002 Advanced Jumbo reissue, for this guitar one night at the Green Note in London, when me and Mick were doing a gig together. And this is such a lovely guitar. I used this for my records, or some of my record, Traditional Dark, and I wrote a few other bits and bobs with it, and then I fell on hard times and had to sell it. Sold it to my friend George Holloway, who sold it to my friend Debbie Greenwood, who I perform with regularly. Debbie fell on hard times and had to fund some vet's bills for a poorly horse of hers. She sold it to my friend Alvin Reed, and my friend Alvin Reed bought it and allows me to use it for writing and recording. It doesn't usually leave the house because it's obviously an elderly guitar, and I don't want it to come to any harm, on the road or anything like that. But it's an absolute joy to be able to play this guitar. It has a very battered Sitka spruce top, mahogany back and sides. At some point the back of this guitar has been replaced, but it's been very well done. The only giveaway is that the binding on the back is slightly wider than the binding on the front, but it's been very well done. All the original bracing inside has been kept. I don't know the story behind it. It happened a long time before it came to me. Mahogany neck and Clusons, 300 strip Clusons on the back of the headstock. Now this, for a guitar which is 53 years old this year, this has had no headstock breaks, no significant damage other than the mysteriously replaced back. The action is as low as it gets. The brake angle is very good over the bridge saddle. There's a bit of bridge roll going on, but what guitar of 53 years old doesn't have a bit of that? A little bit of bellying, but it's not it doesn't look pregnant like some older Martins can sometimes do. It's a great guitar. It's got the skinny oh god, I don't even know, 1 9/16 nut width. but it has a really nice D profile neck, and I have hands, the size of like a a badger's forehead. I don't even know how big a badger's forehead is, but I've got great big hands. I'm a huge guy. I'm 6'7" tall, and I'm 19 something stone. But it doesn't bother me. The skinny nut width, I can play without it fouling. And it's all good now. Down this end, it used to have an adjustable bridge. A lot of people kind of rat on these things and say that they're like, adjustable bridge is bad, tone sucking, hellish device and everything. So with my limited guitar teching woodwork skills, I made a little insert which drops in where the adjustable saddle was. This was when I owned it the first time round. Cut a bone saddle, put it in the insert, restrung it, expecting fireworks and general champagne and oohs and ahs from the crowd. Played a few chords and realised that it sounded exactly the same as it did when it had the adjustable bridge in it. I think on balance I probably prefer the response very slightly with the fixed bridge, but as an experiment, adjustable bridge versus fixed bridge, I engineered it in a way that it's reversible. But I've kept the fixed bridge because I think the attack transient is very slightly softer than it was with the fixed bridge, with the adjustable bridge. But the thing with the adjustable bridge is it gives you a great kind of attacky rock and roll tone, very quick response. But this has kind of got a still has that kind of fast response, slightly mellower than it was with the adjustable bridge, but only a hair, and most people wouldn't notice that. It's intonation wise, it's got a little bit of drift beyond the seventh, but not too bad. Nothing that's going to break the bank. It's a 53-year-old guitar. The geometry of these things changes, and at some point, I do most of my setups myself. But at some point, I'll get to it with a fine-tooth comb and iron out anything like that. But it's at the moment it doesn't bother me at all. Any intonation drift. I rarely go up the dusty end anyway. I stay down at the first 5 frets, as Bo Diddley said, where the money is. Although I haven't found much of it there, but it's a fantastic all-rounder as an entry point for kind of vintage guitars. These guitars represent great value for money. You can still buy one of these for under £2,500, which is, it's a big name guitar, and it's a J45, it's a Gibson. It's what other major manufacturer could you pick up a 1967 D28 for this kind of money? I don't think you could, because they're Brazilian rosewood. This has got a rosewood fretboard and bridge, but the fretboard itself is very dark. It almost looks like ebony. It's the original one, because you can see the divots. Excuse the children larruping outside the door. The bridge is quite dark as well, the rosewood bridge, but it's generally it's all original, and other than the back. And it's a very useful guitar. It's endlessly inspiring for writing. I write with this guitar so much. I've written so many songs with this. I mean, a lot of my album, The Silver Age, was written with this guitar, and loads of other stuff. My blues album from 2017, I used this guitar for the whole thing, other than the resonator slide stuff. But it's just got such a kind of friendly tone, it's loud as well. It's got real kind of dynamic range, you can get into all that kind of stuff. And one thing I would say is that the slightly skinnier nut width does kind of make it a little tricky to sort of flat pick bluegrass passages kind of cleanly. You know, as you can probably hear, there are a couple of slightly fumbly notes in there. And currently this guitar has Ernie Ball Everlast strings on it, but they've got some age on them. I think this guitar befits older strings. You know, new strings kind of sound like, I don't know. I always think that you know, putting new strings on a vintage guitar for the first couple of weeks, it kind of sounds like, you know, somebody's you know, got the clippers out and given their horse a Mohican. You know, it just doesn't seem right. So a bit of age on the strings really opens them up for me, and kind of you get that thing where you hear more of the wood than the strings. The guitar has a K&K Pure Western Mini pickup inside and a bridge plate transducer, and for some reason it kind of vents here rather than on the end pin where they normally do. But this was obviously where a different pickup was at some point in years gone by, and that's where the bottom hole of the guitar ended up being. So that's where the jack went. But yep, sounds great plugged in, sounds great unplugged, plays nicely, and what a great jumping off point for vintage guitars. You know, you can still get hold of these. 1967 was the year when the Gibson made the most J45s of any year before or since. They made a huge number of J45s. Their plant in Kalamazoo in Michigan was pumping them out, and they're very consistent. The 67s are great. In 68 they went to heavier bracing. In 69 they started introducing square shoulder guitars, and by 1970 they'd gone to the double X bracing, which is why the 1970s Gibsons have such a bad reputation. But 67 is the last year of greatness with the J45 before they kind of put the Bozeman plant in action in the late 1980s and started reissuing them again. So yes, well worth checking out if you fancy something like this. And who could resist that chirpy chappy cherry sunburst? Is great, isn't it? Donovan, British folk singer Donovan. I did a gig with him a few years ago in Cannes in the south of France, and he played one of these for most of his sort of earlier career. And when he saw mine, he was cooing over it and saying all sorts of nice things. So yes, well recommended, ladies and gentlemen. For reference, this was recorded on a SE Gemini 2 valve microphone, large diaphragm condenser. It's not stock. It has, as I've said in my other videos, it has two 1980s new old stock Philips military spec valves in it, which really open this mic up nicely and give it a very sort of open, flat, kind of smooth response. So there's no processing, no post-production processing or anything like that. It's just straight in, dry, no EQ, nothing like that. So you can hear the guitar as it is. So I'll play you out with a little bit. Please do like and subscribe, and if you'd like to check out some of my other reviews, that would be lovely. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon.